tech, archives, and algorithmic truth. In a world where most people search before they remember, ask Google before they ask themselves, and accept the first result as the final truth. Who controls the archive controls reality. This is the phase of the Mandela effect no one is talking about. The digital gatekeeping, the silent edits, the invisible hand that reshapes history not by force, but by interface. And if the Mandela memory was the first fracture, and the flood of shared false memories was the ripple, then what we're dealing with now is the consolidation, the cleanup crew of reality itself. Let's begin with a simple premise. History is no longer stored in dusty books or grainy newsreels. It's stored in databases, in search engine indexes, in autofill, in AI-generated summaries and dynamic results that change based on behavior, geography, and social trends. When you ask the internet what happened, it doesn't give you the truth. It gives you the version of truth that has the most digital reinforcement. That's not a conspiracy, it's the foundation of algorithmic design. Let's break it down. Search engines like Google no longer present static web pages. They offer answers pulled from featured snippets, consensus excerpts, and AI-ranked sources. That means you're not seeing the full story. You're seeing what's been elevated to the top of the stack. Now apply that to historical data. If an AI model is trained on 10,000 versions of Sex and the City and 4,000 versions of Sex and the City, it's going to boost the more frequent one. Over time, as content is optimized, the minority version is buried, then erased. Until one day, you search the thing you remember, and it's simply gone. This is the death of reference by attrition. You're not being gaslit by people, you're being gaslit by code. Let's take it further. Wikipedia, one of the most trafficked sources on Earth, is editable by the public, but only to the degree that moderators allow. Its version of history is enforced by consensus. And that consensus is updated constantly. If every reference to Mandela's death in prison was an error, those entries were deleted. If an AI reviewing archive text flags a reference as inaccurate, it may remove it. Multiply that by millions of entries, and you have the perfect tool for reality management. Even the Internet Archive, the so-called Wayback Machine, which is supposed to preserve history exactly as it was, has gaps, dead links, vanished pages, entire websites that are no longer crawlable. And if those pages are lost, then so is your evidence. The moment you go to prove what you remember, the system says, it was never there, and you begin to doubt yourself. This is how the Mandela effect mutates, from a memory anomaly into a form of psychological submission. You start questioning your perception, then your intuition, then your authority to even hold your own reality as valid, until eventually, you surrender to the archive. You let the system tell you what you experienced, and you move on, empty, uncertain, programmable. Now, let's go darker. There are long-standing rumors of black-budget projects with names like Project Looking Glass, which allegedly use quantum-based tech to access alternate timelines, run future-viewing simulations, and manipulate mass perception. Whether literal or metaphorical, the concept reflects a growing reality. Those with access to quantum computing, AI training infrastructure, and metadata control can do more than predict outcomes. They can shape the memory scaffolding that future outcomes are built on. If you can't prove what you remember, then what you remember is considered fiction. And if your memory can be labeled false long enough, then your worldview becomes vulnerable to replacement. This isn't just theoretical, it's the infrastructure of algorithmic truth. Let's talk about CERN again. When the Large Hadron Collider was activated in 2008, and again in 2012 when it successfully identified the Higgs boson, the so-called God particle, conspiracy theories exploded. People speculated that the high-energy collisions could open portals, rip spacetime, or initiate timeline instability. Most dismissed it as pseudoscience. But what isn't theoretical is that CERN is playing with forces most people don't understand. And the philosophical implication of smashing particles at near light speed is this. We're looking for the source code of matter. So what happens if, in the process of decoding that source code, you accidentally or intentionally modify it? If time and space are fundamentally quantum fields, then those fields may be sensitive to resonance, to intention, to synchronization. Now pair that with AI, trained to reinforce the new version of reality across every digital gateway, every search result, every database, until all remaining residue of the prior timeline is either recontextualized or erased. And this is what we're seeing. A war on reference points, a rewrite of proof, a sterilization of contradiction. You don't need to burn books anymore. You just need to re-index them. You don't need to assassinate witnesses. You just need to filter their content out of the algorithm. You don't need to edit video footage. You just need to train the model to show a cleaner version. And the Mandela effect becomes the first traceable glitch, the moment the collective caught the edit before the system fully synced. Now we can ask, is this being done intentionally? Is this a coordinated reality overwrite? Or is this an emergent artifact of living in a world where AI now shapes what's real? Here's a possible answer. It doesn't matter. Whether intentional or emergent, the result is the same. You remember something, you go to confirm it, and you find nothing. You hold a memory, and the world says, that never happened. That is how reality is rewritten, not with violence, but with silence. And so we return to the Mandela memory. What if the first digital deletions were subtle? What if the records of his 1980s death were buried in the early internet, then quietly removed? What if we're not remembering wrong, but remembering too early, before the system could clean up the residuals? That would mean the Mandela effect isn't about faulty memory at all. It's about access timing. Those who remember differently are the ones who saw the world before the update, and they've been trapped ever since between the memory of what was and the dominance of what is. You're not delusional, you're unsynced, and the archive will never validate what your soul knows to be true. In the next and final chapter, we step beyond data, beyond theory. We ask, what if Nelson Mandela's memory is a metaphysical cipher? What if his life and death, across timelines, was never just political, but spiritual? What if the Mandela memory wasn't the glitch, but the test? And what if your ability to remember it means you passed? Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11x published author, and what you just watched was only a taste of what's inside the Truth series, where we go all the way down the rabbit hole. If you're the kind of person who's always asking bigger questions, who knows there's more to this world than what we've been told, then this is your invitation to the series that was built for you. Inside the Truth series, you'll get full access to 6 mind-blowing sub-series designed to wake up your highest intelligence and decode the matrix we live in. 1. Locate the truth. Learn how to actually research, not just what to search, but how to verify, cross-reference, read declassified files, and protect your own mind from weaponized misinformation. This is truth-seeking, decoded. 2. The Mandela effect. Are we shifting timelines? Why do so many people remember a different past? We break down the most bizarre, undeniable examples of reality glitches and what they tell us about consciousness and control. 3. Law is magic. Law is not what you think it is. From word spells to maritime law and hidden contracts, we uncover how legal systems use language like a wand and how to stop being tricked by fine print that binds you without consent. 4. Entertainment or ritual. The Hollywood and music industries are not just for entertainment. From Super Bowl rituals to Grammy stage symbolism, we decode what's really being shown, who it serves, and why mass consciousness is the target. 5. Decoding dystopia. Ever wondered why dystopian fiction feels prophetic? In this subseries, we decode popular films and books, Hunger Games, 1984, Black Mirror, to reveal the hidden blueprints and predictive programming behind the plot. 6. MK Ultra plus mind control programs. This one gets deep. From real MK Ultra documents to modern symbolism in media, we expose how mind control operates in plain sight and how to free yourself from manipulation you didn't even know was happening. And that's just the beginning. If this resonated with you, click the links below and join us inside the Full Truth series, because the more you know, the harder you are to control. This is your awakening. We don't just ask questions, we find answers. Let's go all the way down the rabbit hole together.